For the practice ones, I'm just going to use stuff that's there. But I've got some beautiful magenta, so I think I'll just like that. And then, I don't even have my glasses on, it's so easy. You do 3 dots. I also saw that she has a version where you do 5 dots. So you can do whatever you like. So maybe you take that petal off to nothing. Yeah, exactly. And then you do all 3 petals to whatever size you want. I'll turn it around to make it easier for my arm. And that's how simple the method is. Taking that off to nothing. When it's dry, I'll come back in and put 2 more, or you could continue while it's wet.
2 more dots, 2 more petals.
Yeah, exactly, because most flowers have 5 petals. So if you do it while it's all wet, you're just losing.
You're doing that on dry,
yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah, but it's kind of pretty though. Yeah. Yes, thank you. So this time I'll do 3. And the amount of water you use is completely up to you. This is working very nicely to just pull it out, and then you just can leave that one, and just worth doing it as many times as you find satisfying. It's pure joy to do because it's so easy and you get this beautiful result. And since most flowers have 5 petals, it's completely logical. And after you've done that a few times, you start to want to get more creative. So let's say up here we start to go a bit more creative up here, and I'll prepare another colour. I'll keep that as my water brush. That's a little big, go a little smaller because it's quite small. And maybe I drop in some turquoise this time. So, I've done the dots. So I'm going to go in and maybe I feed it some turquoise. I'm just being playful. Get rid of that. Water. Feed it some turquoise. Come around again. So I've left that too long. That would have been prettier had I not waited to mix that about. So it's not particularly moving. That's partly because it's cheap paper, and partly because that this might be thicker than the water, so that stops it moving quite as thickly.
Could be the pigmentation as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that type of paint?
Yeah, that it's a heavy one, that's right. Yeah. And it probably is. It's a bit opaque.
Okay.
Unlike, because what I'm accessing there is the semi-opaque turquoise, whereas over here is a bit of the phthalo turquoise, which would behave differently. That would be a good experiment as well. So once they're dry, you come back in and you do the top ones. Oh, thank you so much. You come back in and you do the top petals, which I can't demonstrate until they're lovely and dry. But a wonderful opportunity for making the petal go to nothing, especially if they end up in the background, or a nice opportunity for an abstract shape. It's such a playful way to start to paint. But I will wait till they're bone dry and then I'll put in the other, or while they're in that beautiful state, maybe you don't, because that's not transparent. Maybe I think this one might be transparent. What is it? Is it wet enough? That one's wet enough. No, they're all just past the little wet and wet stage. Lovely and dry. And then where you put the dots is completely up to you, but I'm going to put a little space there and a little space there.
It's so asymmetrical.
Yeah, and it's so, that's right. I really want to put a third one in to make it symmetrical, but flowers aren't. And then you glaze the next petal on top. Turn it around. It's so much easier if you turn it around for your hand. And then you get that beautiful intersection where one petal's on top of the other. Yeah, so layer 1 is 3 dots. But I have seen her online do 5 dots all at once, and she seemed to make it work. But I liked this layering look, so that's why I was doing the 3 dots, let it dry,
And is that how like people make fabric look lacy as well and sheer, just by kind of pulling it down like that?
On fabric?
No. Like if you're painting someone in sheer fabric or
Oh,
something like that.
right, yeah.
Get that real sheer.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it makes me instantly think of all those oil paintings, you know, from the 18th century with those incredible... Yeah, and that's all oil painting, of course, where they're glazing on fine layers of oil.
Fabulous.
So if you practice that and then just keep going if you're happy with the method, or come back and I'll demonstrate on those, and then we'll start to talk about expanding it. But have a little practice and fun.
Thank you.
I'm calling it the 3-dot method. I'll just leave a gap, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought, let's say I'm going to put in a background. I wondered if I did this. You can see I've got some dots there because I was going to paint more petals, but I think I'll do this instead. I'll leave little breaks maybe for the, or maybe I'll put some like that. But definitely want little decorations in there. But it's completely not for this purpose. But the gold is so beautiful. Oh dear, let's did it again. And then I thought, when I go to paint the watercolour, that will act as a resist.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So that's a watercolour paint, is it? Or is it
No,
masking fluid?
it's actually intended for glass painting. So I'm totally giving it a completely different purpose. But what I liked about it is, feel it on there?
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, it stays on there.
Yeah, it's permanent once it's on. So, and then,
Nice.
but it's ridged. And see how beautiful shiny it is. I bought a gold pen and then it wasn't shiny when I... Yeah, so then I had to buy another gold pen. But I liked how shiny it is.
The way that it highlights each of the flowers.
Yeah, so
good.
Different way to doing it, and then it takes about 5 minutes to dry. So I could get some of this off. Yeah, I might get some of that off. I don't want to squash it because it'll just look silly.
Yeah, no, it's got to be
And
raised.
that's a bit. I'll see if I can get some of that off. Oh, that's a bit better. Yeah, totally mixed media.
Love it. Hey, Alfred.
Anyone like some?
I'm thinking I will do some really thin stems
And was the gold just to give it texture and interest?
Yeah, see it on there? It's a relief. Yeah, so I just liked the
And
idea
that's
of
the beginning
them.
of the mixed media concept.
Yeah, yes, which I must talk about. I just love a bit of... And put in a big wet background and possibly some of these leaves. And I'll just see how it goes. I was hoping that the gold would act as a bit of a buffer so that I can come in close but don't have to worry. Oops.
When I do what you're doing, I always end up with like a splotchy sort of busy mess. So
Oh, I did that. I think do it first over there on a cheap piece of paper, and I think that helps. And sometimes being in the zone seems to help for making. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
That's a lot.
So, yeah, that's so cool. Look, it's not going to penetrate. I like that. like anything that gives a beautiful effect, but here I could have run the water up to it. That would have been nice. It's a bit blotchy at the moment, isn't it? So I might just add a lot of water, because I can always come back in and add more paint.
That works.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do water. Oh, I did prepare this blue too. Maybe a dash of blue. Oh, that's nice. Just a little bit there. And then maybe there. Just keep this one a little different to the others. A little bit of blue. Yes. No, can't resist. Has to go somewhere else. I go back to the water. Just water. Because I can come back later and I'm putting all that pink there because I was hoping they might look like little abstract flowers. But I won't know that till I'm completely done. So the gold is doing a beautiful job there. I think I'll leave that. I'll leave that abstract mark. I might put this just with water so that it's a bit connected.
So the gold is actually holding back the water from your flowers.
Yeah.
That's handy.
Yeah, I had thought about it but I hadn't done it. Or I saw it somewhere, or someone done it. I'll bring that up over those flowers, just create a bit of a connection between the background and the foreground that way. That's a nice negative shape, but the petal is there, so I'll just... And then with a dry brush, bring it up to that petal. That's purely dry. I'm just stemming the flow there. But it's gone over the edge, and I quite like... so I'm doing a combo. Sometimes I've got this big space, and sometimes I'm...
Letting it run.
Yeah. I think I would have liked it more if I'd let the water go right up to the gold, and then seen whether or not it's still stemmed the flow. So on the next time, I'll add water and maybe go over the gold, or just to see. And I did just masking fluid in the foreground. And then to finish off, maybe a little bit of scratching especially while the masking fluid is all there, just to put in some extra marks that aren't masked. I'm just adding bits of texture. I've got a little busy spot there, so maybe I add a little more busyness. And then, thank you, Colleen, for the bit of sandpaper. I thought I'd add a little bit of texture.
That works really well, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? So simple. And these are really cheap watercolour pencils. Just little tiny bits of...
And does that dissolve into the water?
It just grabs. You don't have to do anything. I could soften it. I could spray it, stuff like that, but...
What are you rubbing it onto?
Sandpaper.
Oh, sandpaper, okay.
I'll get you another bit, Colleen, because I'm totally ruining your bit.
I'll remind you of it.
That's better than trying to put some paint on your brush and tapping it like that, because you get a big blob.
Don't you? Yeah, that's hard to control, isn't it? And that is what I did on the one up there, and the blobs were like, oh dear, and it's too late. Yeah. And then I'll let that dry and take the masking fluid off and see whether I like it. But I'm just going to let the water do its thing and not worry about backgrounds on this one.
Yeah.
I think the gold's nice. I'm a bit excited by that because I've used it in lots of ways. Yeah, that book's wonderful.